Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. We are back once again to bring you a PLE predictions video, this time being Saturday night's main event, set to take place this Saturday, January 24th, 2026. It's been over a month since the December 13th Saturday night main event video that KP and I have been together for a PLE, if we are going to call these that. So we've been really looking forward to this one. Per usual, we'll go ahead and go through every single match. There are only three so far. We'll go through every single match and kind of give you our predictions and kind of where our heads at on each match. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first contest of the evening in order that we think makes sense. And this is first starting off with Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez of the Judgment Day going up against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, or Rio, for those women's tag team titles. KP, where's your head on this one? And any chance Rio's reign ends already?
To be short and simple, I guess no. I don't really see why they would end the reign. Literally, isn't this their first offense since picking those titles up? I think they did it a few weeks ago anyway. It was at the start of the month. So yeah, I think when it comes to this matchup here, I think definitely credible, opponents in terms of Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. But I think there's a bigger picture for Liv Morgan at the moment, and maybe even Roxanne Perez, depending on what's happening. But yeah, the Judgment Day sort of situation is always ongoing, and that seems to have so many layers and so many questions, what ifs and buts and maybes and all that kind of stuff. I think maybe that's just me being optimistic that maybe something's going to happen within the group. But within this matchup itself, I just don't really see a possibility that Rhea and Io lose their titles at this point. Like I say, it's too early in the run. This is the first offense, and I don't really think they're really ready to do so just yet. So logically speaking, yeah, I'm going to go for a retain here, and I think we can go from there with regards to Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez afterwards. But yeah, I don't really have any sort of feeling in the back of my mind that makes me tempted to go the other way. So yeah, quite strongly, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky to retain here. That's pretty much my 100%er for this one. What about you though? Do you see something a little bit different to me? Do you kind of agree with what I'm saying? Yeah, what's your stance on the way this one's going to go?
I will say this, it would be a pretty big shock for of all teams, in a very crowded women's tag division. We have a lot of quote unquote main event stars kind of down here in the tag division. So very stacked division, and for two of those to be on the same team, and that of Rhea and Io, obviously we've seen them main event many events. So for them to lose after winning this back on the anniversary show, I guess it was. So not even 3 weeks ago, for them to lose here would be a huge shock, and I just don't see that kind of happening. Like you said, worthy competitors in that of Roxanne and Liv. Kind of surprised that they ended up being on the same page as much as they are, but yeah, it's so crowded, in fact, that they already have tomorrow night on SmackDown. They have another number one contenders match for these tag titles as well. So kind of before these are even done, already kind of working on the next. So very interesting decision there. But yeah, I just think it's way too early. I honestly don't know unless one of them turns on another with Rio. I just don't see them losing a tag team for a very long time. It's just a powerhouse of a team, I guess. So let's go ahead and get into the next match, which has the Samoan Werewolf Jacob Fatu going up against the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Obviously, Cody and Jacob having been feuding since Jacob Fatu cost Cody Rhodes his undisputed WWE Championship on SmackDown. Yeah, this will be the first time these two guys have ever gone face to face, one on one. So I think this is a bit of a tough call, at least for me. Two guys that are definitely could argue near or at the top. I I had a tough time trying to figure out who I think will win this one. But KP, do you have a clear vision of who's going to win this?
From a sensible standpoint, I should be, having no real idea because this one does seem, I guess, off the face of it, quite unpredictable to really cast an opinion on. You look at someone like Cody Rhodes, and I don't think he's lost back-to-back matches in his WWE tenure since returning to the company. So this would be quite the interesting situation if he did lose this one to Jacob Fatu. I think personally speaking, Jacob needs a win in order to sort of like stake his claim as like one of the top dogs here on SmackDown. And how to do that, what better way to do that than to beat Cody Rhodes? I think just generally speaking, that would do wonders for him. It would make him a lot more credible in the situation. And yeah, I think that would probably be a good thing for him. But I'm not sure if I really see Cody losing twice. I think for me personally, we don't see that very often. His losses are limited, and I think because of that reason, I think we could always just play this out as, Cody wins this matchup, and then we go into the Royal Rumble. There's a situation between Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes in there. Maybe they both get eliminated because of that, and then we see, another, version of this match at some time after that, and then maybe that's when Jacob Fatu gets the win going into WrestleMania. I don't know at that point as well. So yeah, maybe something along those lines is where I think my head's at the moment. So I'm going to go with a Cody Rhodes win, but I would like to see Jacob Fatu win because I think it would be quite important for him at the moment, and then maybe try and clear this up as to what actually he sort of come back to really accomplish, because we've seen him attack Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes and sort of have it out for both of them at the same time. But obviously he's going to get his hands on Cody properly first. So yeah, I'm interested to see where this is going to go, but I'm going to go Cody. That's my gut feeling for this one. I would like it to go the other way though. What about you, Nick? This is a little awkward, but yeah, where's your head at?
Yeah, like I said, it is a tough call for me, and it's definitely one of those situations where on the face, well, it's hard to go against Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. But also, with Cody kind of seemingly being down on himself currently, uh, definitely after that last appearance, when he was in the UK, definitely got the booze and whatnot. Didn't quite set well with him, so he's kind of shown those instances of heel stuff. So I think, and now being the one doing the chasing again, I think it would work perfectly if Jacob Fatu's get the win here. Obviously, as you alluded to, he could definitely use it. Having been gone for a while and was, red hot when he left. So definitely could use it to kind of push him back up to the top. And along with that, Cody could then use that loss as fuel to kind of continue that chase that he's claiming he's going to do, doing it the old fashioned way, and just works much better, chasing than he does being chased. At least that's kind of, I think, most people's opinion of him at this point. So I think it makes sense, but yeah, it's just kind of hard to go against Cody. If it were up to me, I would pick Jacob. Uh, I think you can just kind of help kind of further solidify, what he had before. So I think Jacob is the right choice, and I think that is what I'm going to go with. I think Jacob to win here, but I could definitely see this kind of as a feud, as you kind of alluded to as well, going on, and this being the first of many. So it wouldn't surprise me either if this is like a DQ finish, kind of keep them both safe. Wouldn't surprise me either, especially consider the event being Saturday night's main event. With that, let's go ahead and get into what currently is, I guess, the main event, and that is a fatal four-way featuring Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, and Sami Zayn to determine the new number one contender for that undisputed WWE title. Yeah, all four guys kind of winning their qualifying match here. Yeah, I think you could make a case. Each guy is deserving, and I'll maybe argue some more than others. But KP, where's your head at on this one? What are you thinking? Who will be the next challenger or the first challenger, I guess, to Drew McIntyre?
This one's a toughie. Like, I think this one is sort of going a couple of ways for me personally. I think I'd be quick to remove Trick Williams, just not because of anything against him, but because it is quite early for him in his main roster career. I mean, you could argue, what way to shoot him up, what better way to shoot him up than to literally have him go up against the WWE champion, just a number of appearances on the main roster. But I do think it is a little too early on that one, so I think I'd be sort of hard pressed to really go for him in this case. Randy Orton is one of those names that I think can get a WWE Championship match whenever he wants. Like, I feel the opportunity for him is always there, sort of thing. And I don't think he necessarily needs to win this particular matchup to get a WWE Championship match some point down the line. I just feel like with him coming and going as well, that makes things a little awkward. So I'd struggle to really get behind that at this point. So I don't think I'd go with Randy Orton. With the two remaining names, I think these two are probably the two that are probably most likely to win, in my opinion. Start with Sami Zayn. So obviously being in Montreal, Saturday night main event, naturally the hometown crowd behind him. So I think when it comes to that situation, that does make a lot of sense. And then obviously you go into Saudi Arabia, the Royal Rumble coming up literally the week after, and we know the kind of evasion that Sami gets there, how revered he is over there. So that just makes a lot of sense as well. Those boxes are being checked in that sense. But I do feel like whoever does win this match is just being sort of thrown to Drew McIntyre, because I don't feel like whoever wins this is going to win, because Drew's only been champion for a number of weeks, and by that point, it's going to be like 3 weeks or so that he's held that title for. I don't think he's going to drop it. I really don't think so. So, in my opinion, I feel like the best person to just feed to Drew McIntyre at this point, and someone that Drew had some history with in the previous year, 2024, was Damian Priest. And, they had that World Championship match over at Clash at the Castle in Scotland, and that was interrupted by CM Punk. So I think, what way to sort of have like a bit of a blast and a throwback than to have Damian Priest win this matchup, to go up against Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble and just, be fed to him as his first offense. So I think for me, that makes the most sense. I really, really do. I'd like to see Sami Zayn do something bigger at the Royal Rumble, rather than, have this matchup and lose. So in my opinion, I'm going to go Damian Priest. That's just my logic there. And you're probably trying to, you might need a stress ball or something at the moment, Nick, obviously, because what I'm suggesting here with Damian Priest. But yeah, what are your thoughts in this one? I'm assuming you're going to go differently, or at least you're going to hope to go different anyway. But yeah, where's your thoughts at regarding this Fatal 4-Way?
Yeah, my thoughts are definitely to go different. Um, the kind of the same kind of my thought process there with Trick. Obviously, no, I would love that, quite a bit for him to win this. But as you kind of already stated too, whoever wins this match would likely not go on to win anything anyway. So just kind of get them kind of a moment in the spotlight, which again wouldn't hurt to have Trick there. But I just think, yeah, probably too little, too soon. But although he has kind of rubbed shoulders with some pretty big names, two of them being kind of shown here, so no issues, I guess, with Trick winning. I just don't think it's going to. The Sami Zayn bit, kind of more adding to what you kind of already said. It just kind of feels too perfect, with this being in Quebec and Rumble being in Saudi. It just kind of feels too perfect for Sami to win that way. And I know, obviously, you more than most really hoping that he does get that world title run. But I think if they do go that route, it wouldn't be until Mania. So I think the only way that could really work is if Sami were to win here and then something go wrong when he actually does get his title shot. Presumably at Rumble or maybe Chamber or something like that. But I think it'd be hard to kind of expand that until Mania if that kind of was kind of going that route. So I think he'll probably win it in a different way. So I think winning it on Saturday Night Main Event would just be not quite the level of what I think he deserves at this point in his career. So yeah, and with that, Damian, yeah, I like to shout out, callback, if you will. I Other than the fact that I just don't want him to win, which you've already kind of mentioned. I think, yeah, really, I just think he's the least. I think he's the most underwhelming option. But again, if he's going to go lose to Drew, whatever, I guess. But I feel like we've visited that rivalry quite a bit in the very recent history. So I just prefer not to revisit it. And with that, I think Randy Orton, who having a loss does not hurt him in the slightest. He's at that point in his career, and I've said that many times about him and others, and he's just one of those guys that a loss doesn't hurt. So I think if the Rumble is the kind of next step here, which is next weekend, I think Randy Orton is the biggest name that makes the most sense here. Obviously excluding Sami and thinking bigger picture, I think Randy and Drew is a great kind of start for Drew on the big stage of the Royal Rumble, assuming that's where it's going to take place. So with that, I'm going to go with Randy Orton to win, and hopefully I'm right. But if I'm not, as long as it's not Damian. But with that, Saturday night's main event. Those are our predictions kind of in the books there. Let us know what you all think below. Who do you think is going to win? Have we gotten any of these predictions wrong? Are you looking forward to the event? Only 3 matches, so a little smaller than usual. Would love to hear back from you all below in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well, as that does help us out tremendously. But with that, we'll be back shortly with that SmackDown recap and, of course, the Saturday Night Main Event reactions video upcoming this weekend. But until next time, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you soon. Take care.